Hello, everybody. I'm Ruben Dario Chavez, aka Ray Chavo. I'm breaking down the Euros groups, talking about who I think is going to progress and just how the tournament will shape up, I guess, for each group. And then as the tournament goes on, hopefully just giving more content about games that I like that stood out to me, players' performances, etc., any storylines that are developing. So we are on to the third group, Group C. And this one has what a lot of people are considering the favorites, if not the favorites, one of the favorites. England. It's England, Slovenia, Denmark, Serbia. This group very much feels like a group of everybody's playing for second place because, barring some catastrophic collapse, England should be going top of the group. But we'll start with them, obviously, since they are the ones with the most hype around them. the, it's a talented team. It's a talented team, despite not taking Jack Grealish, James Madison, Harry Maguire obviously out through injury. The defense is really the weak spot. It is. That's the part where you're really wondering about people's fitnesses. How fit will Shaw be? When will he come back? Obviously, Maguire not being there, people think that Gahey's going to get the start and Stones will be beside him. You have Walker, whose pace is going to be important. Trippier and how he handles himself in this tournament will be important. But everywhere else, especially in the midfield and the attack, they have so many options and like so many options. Cole Palmer could feature. Anthony Gordon. Obviously, to start, it will most likely be Foden, Kane, and Saka. Um, that front three is lethal. I know some people want to play Foden through the middle, and while he's great at that, you have so many options in the middle. He can still do a job on the left and do it very well. So it's more likely that they're going to go with that. In the middle, Declan Rice, he might be the first name on the team sheet now. I know that that's crazy considering how great of a goal scorer Kane is, and I do obviously understand how important Kane is for this team. But there is not another player on the squad that can do what Declan Rice can do at the level that he can do it, and that we've seen him do it. So his health will be major for the tournament. If he goes down in injury, hopefully not, they will struggle to replace just how good of a shield he is there in the midfield. Uh, who's going to start in the midfield alongside him? Take your pick, but you would assume that Jude Bellingham is definitely going to be one of the names. Trent Alexander-Arnold is now also a midfielder nominally for England. Obviously, they could start with him there, move him to another position, depending on the game state, depending on what Gareth Southgate is trying to accomplish, if the game looks one way or the other. So there are a lot of options. I'm excited to see how they line up, especially in the middle, and who gets the nods depending on what. We have exciting people like Kobe Mainu also on the wings, just waiting to get in, and who I think will be important coming down as impact subs. Ollie Watkins, Ivan Toney, etc., etc. The attacking talent just rolls off the tongue. These are players that are playing at some of the biggest clubs in the world and some of the biggest leagues in the world. And there's a reason why England are so favored. Despite not being able to get it over the line in tournaments past, it could be that year. It could be that time. This may be Gareth Southgate's last tournament. Um, we're not 100% sure, obviously, but more likely than not, especially if he goes on top, why would he subject himself to another? But maybe the FA makes him an offer. Maybe he wants to really try it at the World Cup. We have seen some growth throughout the years. Not all growth is linear. I know people, well, they made it to the Euros final and then they didn't make it to the World Cup final. It was a tough game, and the France game could have gone either way. I know it's easy to say that after the fact, and it's like, well, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but Harry Kane missing a penalty is not something that happens that often, obviously. So a couple breaks go differently there and there instead of France, more than likely. And could they have beaten Argentina? Who knows? Who knows? So it'll be interesting to see how England navigate, I think, for the first time in a long time. Not just, and a lot of people are down on England just naturally because of outside factors that don't have anything to do with the team itself, like the players on the pitch. But there's a reason why they're favorites, and this is the first time that I think that they're such heavy favorites in a long time. Not just within their country and within that little sphere that they live in, but generally most people expect a lot out of this team. So how they handle that, how they cope with that, because there will be hiccups on the tournament, will be exciting and interesting to see. Moving on, uh, the rest of the group, like I said, it's a toss up. It's a toss up. They have their first game against Serbia, so let's start with them. Um, Serbia has a good team: Vlahovic, Mitrovic. Milinkovic, Savage. There is talent. There's some names that we recognize on this team. I'm not super high on them based off of the fact that the rest of the teams are also of equal note and or capabilities, and I do believe that having the first game against England is hard. Whenever you have like the hardest game in your group first, it's tough because you're coming in nerves. You haven't really gotten your feet set in the tournament, and these tournaments go quick, right? And so points are going to matter. If you get in the third spot, you want to make sure you're one of the teams that qualifies to the next round in the third spot. So I'm down on their prospects of going deep into the tournament because I don't know if they're going to qualify through this group, and that's just I see other things in the group that I like, but Serbia, it's very much like Group A in a different sense. In Group A, I don't think there's a true leader. I don't think that there's a true like, well, this team is obviously going to win. What I do think is in this group, while there is a team that people think is going to win and should win, barring disaster, every other team in this group has a credible reason to be the second best, third best, and to progress. So Serbia could do it. I'm less high on them. But part of that is because I'm high on Slovenia. So let's talk about Slovenia. Again, a couple key names. I like um, I like Sarin. I like his creativity in the middle. I think he'll make a good partner for Sporar and Sheshko. They're going to be key, especially Sheshko. We've seen that he has that superstar potential. There's a reason why so many clubs want him. This tournament's going to be massive for him on that level. If he can perform really well, drive that transfer fee up, drive that contract fee up, drive you open up your career. You know, as much as international football is not the be all end all the way that it was uh, in years past and when I was younger, it is still a marquee event. It is still where a lot of teams are going to be seeing how do you equate yourself on the biggest stage against the best players. So he can really push that price up. And Oblak, again, international football is so predicated on little moments and little things and just like can you make a save? Can you make a stop? It's a war of attrition. I've said that before. So having John Oblak, who is one of the best keepers in the world. In my mind, he's in the top five at the very least. You know, like if you don't want to put him top three, if you have Ederson or Allison up there, or you have Ter Stegen, or you have Neuer, I get that. To me, the best keeper is Thibaut Courtois. He's not even going to be here. So Oblak has a credible argument to be the best keeper at this tournament, like hands down. So a good keeper can make a difference. They can make a difference, especially if the teams that they're going up against are going to get a lot of chances. We'll see how Slovenia handle that, but I have a lot of faith in Slovenia. I think they're going to progress through this group actually at the second spot, but I don't want to tease, don't want to give away too much. Their first, and again, this game is going to be key, but they're going up against Denmark. Denmark's got a great team. Hoyland, Eriksson, uh, Højbjerg. They have Schmeichel in net, Christensen and Anderson at the back. A lot of these names are familiar. We know them. We've seen them play. Some of them are older, some of them are younger. I worry a little bit about the consistency, especially about someone like Hoyland. But, you know, again, if someone wanted to tell me they think Denmark is the second best team in this group and going to progress second top, sure, yeah, absolutely. These are my predictions. Partly just stuff that I want to see, and also just partly what I believe could credibly happen based on the fact that there's usually a couple surprises and not everybody performs to the level that we expect. And if this was a if this was a vintage Denmark squad, maybe I'd be a little more scared for Slovenia and even Serbia. But I don't see this as like a can't beat squad. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. But to get to my final predictions on this group and how I think it's all going to shake out, it is going to be England at the top. They'll probably draw against Denmark or something. They'll probably slip up and not look convincing in like a 2-1 win over Serbia or Slovenia, but they're going to qualify top of the group. That much goes without saying. I'm going to pick Slovenia at number two because, again, I think Sheshko is going to do well. Oblak is going to be super important, and he's a great keeper who's used to keeping things tight. It's hard to score on. Denmark will have my third spot, and then Serbia at the bottom. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know. You let me know. and I'm excited to see this group shake out. It's not a group of death, but it's definitely one of the groups where I think every match is going to matter a lot, because there's not a lot of room for error here. All these teams are very well drilled, very well coached, and I'm excited to see some new names burgeon their reputations and their stories, and some Euros history to be written. But yeah, let me know what you think down below, and watch all the other ones if you want to yell at me more about my opinions.